Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Injury Law Pod. I am your host, Eric Bartlett, 29-year personal injury lawyer, and this is the podcast where we talk about all things personal injury law related. And up today, we're talking social media. We all have that love-hate relationship with social media. It seems like no matter how much we want to or how hard we try, we just can't help but be attached to some form of social media, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, whatever it looks like for you, LinkedIn. It seems like all of us want to have some social connection in the digital world. But imagine this real world scenario. Someone posts a photo of them smiling at a Chiefs game just days after a car accident. The insurance adjuster sees it, and suddenly that severe back pain, air quotes, doesn't look so severe anymore. And now there's a problem, potential problem, because claims of being in pain and not being able to do things are suddenly in jeopardy because there's photographic evidence to indicate otherwise. And so this situation is not uncommon. I've seen it many times. And essentially, here's what we're going to do today. By the end of this episode, you're going to know exactly what not to post and how something innocent can cost you thousands in compensation. So let's go. Basically, as everyone knows at this point, there is social media everywhere. And obviously, when there's a personal injury case, this can become problematic. Adjusters, insurance companies, their adjusters, they now regularly check social media when a claim is made. They're going to try and find the person making a claim and monitor their social media. And there's multitudes of possibilities. Number one, like I just stated, maybe they're looking for activity after an accident. Maybe they're looking for activity before an accident. Was there a picture sometime in the recent past before an accident where there's a picture of the person making the claim hurt or complaining about back pain or you name it, right? But if they can find something like that, it's definitely a problem if you're making a claim that's related to something you were complaining about before this accident ever happened. And again, it's a real big problem after an accident if you are making a claim of one thing and then there's photographic or video evidence skewing the narrative another direction. So, again, things to keep in mind is that Missouri courts allow social media as evidence when it's relevant, and things like photos, likes, comments, and tags can all be used. Again, if you follow certain pages and they somehow have relevance to something that's at issue in a personal injury claim, that might be brought out. So here's the key, this isn't about hiding anything. It's about stopping insurance companies from twisting your life into something it's not. Because for most people, they're going to try and continue to live life. And so even though they've been injured, they may still go do something that's enjoyable. But again, an insurance company wants to take any evidence they can to work and reduce the compensation somebody should rightfully get out of a claim. And I will tell you, on our end of things, when I'm representing an injured person, I'm checking the at fault person's Facebook, Instagram, all their social media to see, is there any evidence of prior reckless driving where there's a video of them doing something stupid. If we're claiming that somebody was a known drinker and we're trying to connect maybe a drunk driving case, something like that? Are there pictures of this person regularly drinking? How about the day of this accident? Were they at a party? Were they tagged? Did they post a picture of them drinking, video, whatever that looks like? But we've used social media against at fault drivers, whatever it may be, before in the past. So again, you just never know, but it's out there, right? Once you post it, it's out there and you've got to know the do's and don'ts. But here's the thing. What are adjusters and insurance companies looking for? They're looking for photos that contradict injury claims. So are there pictures of you at the gym working out after you're claiming you basically can't lift anything, participate in any real physical activity, things like that? Again, tailgates at sporting events, holiday parties, anything like that. And again, anything showing physical activity, if the claim is being made that there's a limited physical activity after an accident, and even smiling in a picture can be misinterpreted, right? An insurance company can certainly try and take pictures of a person who's been claiming that they're in pain and they're having problems and show, look, you were smiling, you looked comfortable in this picture. What's that all about? It's all about them trying to skew that narrative. Again, the other thing, location tags, check-ins, you're doing that on social media. Again, the question is, if you're well enough to go out, you're well enough to work, right? So Missouri insurers, they use geotag timelines to challenge pain and suffering, things like that. And then how about comments from friends? Again, there can be good ones, feel better soon, something like that, an acknowledgement of an injury. But if, somebody says, you look great, is that going to be something for the adjuster to get a hold of and say, yeah, you didn't look like you were really in any distress or discomfort in that picture? And another scenario is where friends are joking around with somebody and it's taken literally. And again, then you're in the position of trying to explain, no, this is just joking around. I'm miserable. None of this was serious. Again, it's just not a great position to be in. And remember this, you don't even have to post, right? If you're tagged, if someone tags you, they can still be found. And so all of these things are always in the atmosphere of an injury claim. And that's why this episode is so important, because if you find yourself injured and making a claim, you have to know that you're being monitored. That's the easiest way for insurance companies to monitor you. Sometimes they send out private investigators and do surveillance and things like that, but that's costly. It's time consuming. A lot of times it doesn't produce much value for them, because trying to catch you out in the public arena was hard. But it's pretty easy to get on the old computer and dial up your social media and see what kind of goodies are waiting out there. So, how about some examples? Just some sort of generalized examples. The birthday party post, right? The client with the shoulder injury who post at a bowling alley, I'm just watching, but the adjuster argues they must be feeling good enough to participate, right? Were you really just watching, or were you actively involved in bowling with your bad shoulder? And what happens? Makes it hard. Settlement offer is slashed. Now you may find yourself having to file a lawsuit to get this thing turned around. And again, in a lawsuit, same evidence is going to come up and it's going to have to be explained away. There is the Chiefs game photo, an accidental tag at Arrowhead after a crash. And now, you're having to explain, maybe the insurance company is going to argue that you had to walk a long way from where you parked to get into the stadium. Obviously, you were going up and down stadium stairs. And meanwhile, you're making a claim that you are having problems. and pain and things like that. So again, you're put on the defensive. And then, the old TikTok trend, right? Things come up. A client, say, uploads a funny lip sync sitting in a car, and the adjuster argues they clearly don't have any anxiety about being around vehicles or in vehicles or things like that, which, by the way, is a real situation. A lot of people, after they've been in a serious accident, it takes them a lot of time to get comfortable in a vehicle again. Sometimes it even takes counseling. But if you post something from the vehicle after the accident, they're going to argue clearly this didn't have any kind of significant mental trauma for them. They look pretty happy in all of that. And unfortunately, all of these examples tend to end with a lesson, which is it's not that these people lied, it's that the insurance company spun the narrative. Again, people are trying to live their lives. They may not be in the best shape. They may be miserable. They may be on medicine. Who knows? But they were trying to go out and continue living. But an insurance company, they will pounce on that and they will use it to their benefit every chance they get. So in Missouri and in the legal arena, again, Missouri discovery rules. That's when we're in a lawsuit and we're exchanging information and we're discovering facts, evidence about a case. Missouri discovery rules allow opposing parties to request social media content. And again, it's great that they request it, but even more importantly, they're going to have already looked for it. And a question that's often presented in written form amongst parties, sometimes in depositions, is did you post anything, number one, about this accident, about your injuries, anything like that on social media? Right. And if you did, you can't lie and you're going to have to divulge that. And even if you're set to private, if it's out there, and again, you lie about it, that is a problem. That's a huge problem. So see, now you're stuck because you put that out there. And again, just with all the other things, just being active on social media after an accident, if you're posting, they may want to see what you posted in the first certain amount of time after an accident so that they can see what you were doing. And again, it's going to be an uphill battle. And here's the thing, private accounts, right? Secure accounts, they're not private to a lawsuit. And that's what you have to keep in mind. They can be discoverable. So you just need to not post after an accident, period. That's the big takeaway. Remember, screenshots last forever, right? If you put something out there on the internet, you have to assume it's going to make its way to potentially somewhere you don't want it to be. And again, you have to remember, even if the client is not tagged publicly, right? If the person's not tagged publicly, metadata and reposts can be uncovered. So there's a digital trail there. You got to keep that on mind. But just remember, if it's online, assume that an insurance adjuster, a defense attorney, or a jury will eventually see it. And if you keep that in mind, you're going to do yourself a big favor by not getting in a situation where you're having to defend your actions. So here it is, the big takeaways, social media, what not to do after an accident. Don't post photos of activities, even normal stuff, grocery shopping, kids' events. Those things can be twisted. Don't talk about the incident or the accident, whatever it is. No apologies, no blaming, no, I feel okay, no details. Don't talk about the accident. Don't post about your injuries. Listen, adjusters love contradictions, and medical self diagnoses create inconsistencies because when they get the records, they have that and what doctors are saying. And then if you've posted about what you think you got going on or problems, things like that, they're going to use that against you. Don't engage in comment debates. Arguments create ammo for adjusters. Friends saying, you sue them, harms your credibility. It just looks like, oh man, you were motivated, maybe not by the fact that you're seriously hurt, you're out of work, you're going through a lot of pain and suffering, and you're wanting to get compensated. You were encouraged and motivated by others just to go after money, just to get that money. And remember, don't post anything that shows physical movement, even if it's minor. Again, easily skewed by insurance companies. So, what do we need to do? Make sure your accounts are private, turn off tagging. So that way you can turn off or disable tagging, and you have to approve if you're going to actually show up in a tagged comment. Ask family and friends to avoid posting you. Give them simple reasoning. My lawyer said this helps protect my case. That's all you have to say. Document your injuries offline. Keep a written journal instead of posting online, and keep that as an instruction from your lawyer. That is not discoverable. If your lawyer tells you, keep a journal of all that you've gone through, the daily duties that you can't tend to now, the daily struggles, the medicines you've had to take, the medical appointments you've had to be at, things like that, keep it in a journal. Keep that for your lawyer. Send photos to your attorney, not the internet. Let the legal team decide what's useful for evidence. Again, not the internet. It's not the place. And remember, silence is your superpower during an injury claim. The more you're not putting out there for insurance companies to get a hold of and twist around, the better. So, again, this isn't the time to share your daily struggles. Keep it to yourself. Don't put it on social media. So, remember this: if you're ever faced with a serious injury, you've got questions, you've got concerns, you don't know little tidbits like staying off social media, it's a great time to reach out to a personal injury lawyer. As I always say, it's a free call. You're always welcome to give us a call. We'll consult with you. We'll figure out how we can help you. If we can, we'll investigate a claim, whatever it looks like. We will remind our clients early on, right, about social media dangers. We will obviously reinforce our communication covenant that we have with our clients, where we never want our clients to be in the dark about what's going on with their case. We will tell our clients how we handle adjusters who misinterpret client postings. Sometimes we get in too far down the road and there's an issue, and we know how to handle those things. And again, we will emphasize our clients' protection and our transparency with them. And listen, we're not here to judge, we're here to protect your case. And that's what it's all about. We're here to maximize compensation for real injuries, for real people. So please keep all of these things in mind as you go forward. And as always, I hope you stay safe and stay well.